Now for years, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was mocked, ridiculed, and scorned for his teaching on Yaqub. By some, he was called a racist. Others said that he was teaching fables and fairy tales. The white scientists didn't even believe him because they thought the Caucasian had been here for tens of thousands of years. So when he came teaching this 6,600 year history, the world initially rejected him. But this is the beauty of what is called revelation. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that he was taught directly by God for 3 years and 4 months. And what Allah reveals is in fact the truth. It is on the scientists and it is on the mathematicians to catch up with Allah's divine revelation. And now time has vindicated the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his teaching. How so? Praise be to Allah. How so? The National Geographic Society has reported that scientists studying DNA have now confirmed that Europeans as a people are, quote, younger than we thought. Did y'all hear me? Along with these studies by scientists of the DNA, there was a professor by the name of Alan Cooper, and he was the director of the Australian Center for Ancient DNA at the University of Adelaide. And he analyzed DNA from ancient skeletons and found that the genetic makeup of modern Europe was established when? Just 6,500 years ago. That's very close to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said 80 plus years prior. But he wasn't the only one. They then had a doctor by the name of Keith Chang, and he was a geneticist at Pennsylvania State University College of Medicine. He led a study that shows the evolution of a gene for skin color and suggests that Europeans lightened up quite recently. He says perhaps only 6,000 to 12,000 years ago. But he wasn't the only one. Another doctor by the name of Hans Eyberg of the University of Copenhagen, I think that is. He confirmed that all blue-eyed humans have a genetic mutation that he says occurred 6,000 to 10,000 years ago. His team found a specific gene known as the OCA2 gene, which if altered would result in human beings without melanin in their hair, eyes, or skin color, a condition known as albinism. Thus, this OCA2 gene seems to have been targeted and manipulated by some force or event around 6,000 plus years ago. Do y'all see the scientists bearing witness to divine revelation? But we're not finished. Researchers at the University of Chicago have found where genes appear to have been reshaped by natural selection within the last 5,000 to 15,000 years. We're not done. Dr. Jonathan Pritchard estimates, listen to what he says, that the point in time when the genes of the Asian and European populations were altered, look at his date, was 6,600 years ago. The exact date of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, whom taught that Mr. Yaqub began his Patmos Island grafting process. So the scientists are catching up to divine revelation. The historians are bearing witness to the truth and the veracity of this teaching. But our next question is, does the scriptures bear witness to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's account of Yaqub? In the Holy Quran, listen to this exchange between Allah and his angels. In chapter 2, verse 30, he said, "And when thy Lord said to the angels, I am going to place a ruler in the earth. They said, the angels, wilt thou place in it such as make mischief in it and shed blood? And I guess Allah had this look on his face like, come on, man. So they immediately put their hands, and we celebrate thy praise and extol thy holiness. And Allah said, surely I know what you know not. So the angels were clear that if this new ruler was placed in the earth, it would only lead to mischief and bloodshed. But nonetheless, God overruled them, and God permitted it. And he said to his angels, surely I know what you know not. Now that's from a Quranic perspective, but can we find, this Yaqub in the Bible? Now, brothers and sisters, some of y'all may laugh at me when you realize how slow your little brother is. As my teacher said, it sometimes takes him a little while to get a lesson. You know, we're not the brightest students. But they say that confession is good for the soul. So I'm just going to confess this morning, but when I came across the narrative of Yaqub in Message to the Black Man, I had no clue that Yaqub was an Arabic name. So although I grew up memorizing the Bible, reciting the Bible, studying the Bible, if you had asked me to show you Yaqub in the Bible, I would have shrugged you out. It don't exist. That's not in there. We just have to, brothers and sisters, we have to have faith. Y'all know how we do when we don't have an answer. We got to have faith. But one day, I was listening to a lecture of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the teacher, and listen to what he says in part 2 of his 2017 Savior's Day lecture, entitled, Have No Fear for the Future. The future is ours. He said, in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, chapter 32, verses 24 through 30, Jacob is wrestling with an angel. And when he wrestled with the angel, he threw Jacob's thigh out of place. And Jacob says, I have seen God face to face, and my life has been preserved. Look at what the minister says next. He says, Jacob and Yaqub. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, it is the same. And when Jacob wrestled with the angel and prevailed, he was given a new name, and that name was Israel. Israel is a name that all white people can go up under because they have prevailed over the darker people of the earth. When I heard this, and the minister said Jacob is just the English name of the Arabic Yaqub, I almost fell out my chair. I said, how could I be so slow? All of this time I knew about Jacob. I had read Genesis 32. I had looked at that passage before. But the same way that if you say my name in English, you have to say Brother Daniel. But if you say my name in Spanish, you have to say Hermano Daniel. I just didn't know Daniel and Daniel was the same person. So excuse me for having this aha moment, but this was an epiphany for your brother. So when I read this, I said, oh, Jacob is Yaqub. He's wrestling with an angel, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that this symbolizes the battle that he had with the germ of the original man. It is not easy extracting a recessive gene from a dominant gene. So you have to go to work in extracting it. So Jacob wrestling with the angel is symbolic of Yaqub's birth control process of bringing a new people on our planet Earth. All praises are due to Allah.